We're talking to Mr. SLatham of the Urban Journal, excuse me, and Onyx magazine. Excuse me. And of course, let's see if we can pick up where we left off last time.
Okay.
Dealing with this issue of deregulation and the impact that deregulation has had upon affirmative action, which has led us to, I think, agree that there is now no affirmative action. Is that what?
No affirmative action and no set-asides anymore. So the programs that was beginning to help us level the field sort of reversed on us before the field was leveled. So again, I referred earlier to Reconstruction period when African Americans started getting parity with the general market, and it came to an end. So has the modern era for affirmative action. It's come to an end. And I don't know whether it can ever be revived again with the current, I guess, climate environment for political and social discourse. I think it would be very difficult to get reestablished.
Well, in other words, there for not only for African American businesses, but all those other businesses that had that were impacted by affirmative action, females, for example, and others that were impacted by, they are also cut out and left out in the cold. Is that what we're saying?
They're cut out, but they're still represented in a greater quantity than what African Americans are. They're still, I mean, it's not even close. And especially for startups, it's almost impossible to match what's been done by females. Now, Asian Americans, because there aren't as many, but if you look at the percentage increase, they're well represented as a percentage of the marketplace.
Okay.
Yes.
And so, well, now, it seems to me that there ought to be some kind of thought in terms of how do we do, you know, reverse this kind of, because if it, at one time, and as you indicated, during the Reconstruction period, there was a turn down in terms of the aspirations of Africans, but nevertheless, it came back again.
Yes.
And so now, it seems...
Well, we had to, I think it came back, Dr. Haney, because of dynamic leadership. If you look at the work of Dr. King and others, even unsung, that contributed in a lot of different ways. So there's nothing on the horizon to point to that happening again. And I think the media controls that as well. That's why I've worked so hard to stay in this field. It's because Jesse Jackson would never get on television like he once was. If King lived in this era, King's, I guess the work that he's doing, or he had done, would never be exposed to the public because they found out they can control the message.
The message,
Yes, if you're not on television, if they don't see people being attacked by the dogs and the fire hoses, then nobody knows about it.
Out of sight, out of mind. Is that essentially what we're talking about?
Yes.
And that seems to be a very, very dismal kind of prospect looking toward the future. What about education? Can we do anything? Can anything be done in reference to it?
Well, to use an old Jesse Jackson phrase, instead of turning on each other, we turn to each other.
Okay.
Now, we have the means.
Okay.
That's what's a little disappointing to me. If you look at 192,000 people living in the Nashville SMA, Statistical Marketing Area, 8-county area, you're talking about $3.7 billion and 192,000 people. Dr. Haney, that's enough. That would provide all the commerce we need.
Just in that area.
Oh, tremendous. I mean, if you look at Meharry, why can't there be a surgical supply company doing a couple of $1 million just doing business with Meharry? Okay, so if we look at the services needed, and that we would sort of rely on a natural market, if we say African American natural market, and we're not talking about racism, we're talking about racial pride, then we could solve our own problems if we have control of our own financial institutions.
But you know, the